Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Stoveside Chats. My name is Chad Blackwelder with the North Carolina Department of Agriculture. Thank you for tuning in today. I appreciate it. If you hear any whining in the background, that's my dog Archie. He's being a little rambunctious right now. I think he's ready for his second walk of the day. Anyway, thanks for joining us. Got a good interview today. Part 2 with Chef Ricky Moore of Saltbox Seafood Joint, 2 locations in Durham. Hey, Laughing Spell, thanks for joining. Peter, thanks for joining. Good seeing you. Want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. You guys stay safe and have fun. Looking forward to it. Already started the cooking process and getting prepped up for that, so that's always a lot of fun. Next week, El Zabor, thank you for joining us. Next week, my friend Heidi Bellato of Heidi Bellato Food in Charlotte will be interviewing me. So that should be interesting. And then let's see, starting in January, I've got a few of them, 3 actually, figured out as far as guests for January. But all of January, we're going to take a quick break from interviewing chefs. I know we've been interviewing other people as well as chefs in the whole chain. But January, we're going to focus on foodie school. Thanks for joining us, Karen. I can't pronounce your last name, I'm sorry. It's kind of hard when everything's kind of jumbled together, but thanks for joining us, Karen. FD Salvation, thank you for joining us. So anyway, in January, I'm going to be interviewing all North Carolina producers. So some of our Got to BNC producer members, we'll be talking with them and hearing about their story and their products and what they have to offer and where you can find it. So that should be a lot of fun. And then starting after that in February, Carolina Packers, thanks for joining us. We'll feature a member and a product at the first Wednesday of every month. And then we'll continue to, hey Kayla, thanks for joining us. Kayla Burkholtz and waving in, appreciate that. So we'll be starting each month with that interview with a member producer and their product, kind of a product profile, if you will. And then we'll continue to interview chefs and other people food related. All right, here's Chef Ricky. Hey, Chef.
Chad, what's going on, good sir? Happy holidays to you.
Thank you. You too. You too. Hey, man, I like that hat. I'm going to have to trade you one of our new Chef's Degree Got to BNC hats for one of those Saltbox hats.
Hey, too easy, man. Come on, man. Just call me. Just ask, man. No big deal.
Right on. Well, I appreciate that. And hey, thank you for joining us again. For those who don't know, Chef Ricky was on, I guess, about 2 months ago, give or take. And still had a lot of questions for him. So we're going to follow up today. And you guys make sure you go to @GotToBNC on Instagram. And all those videos are archived, or actually, I think this is our 31st or 32nd interview, so that's pretty cool. They're going pretty well. So we'll get right into it. We've already discussed your background. And for those who didn't see that, again, you can check out that first interview. So, Chef, I want to talk about a little bit about your background. I know you started out as an artist, and I had similar aspirations. I grew up doing a lot of sketching. I was never a good painter, but drew a lot of sketching and wanted to go into maybe graphic design or something like that. And I wanted you to talk about that a little bit and how that kind of influences you as a chef, because a lot of being a chef is trying to find that balance between art and commerce. You know, you want to be creative, but you got to make money too.
Right. Well, I mean, honestly, Chad, man, that was like a second nature. I was always doted on. I was the oldest grandchild, man. So I was always doted on by my grandparents, and I kind of grew up with my uncles and aunts. So I was always doted on. I deem myself a pretty creative person. I spent a lot of time watching public television, Bob Ross and, all those folk. And there was something in particular, Jed, that it was a commercial on PBS where this guy sent out this little form with drawings on it. And one of the drawings was like a drawing of like some sort of bird or owl. And I sent off for it. And I did it and sent it back, and I thought I was going to get into art school, but, that didn't happen. But still, that's kind of sparked something for me. But I always doodled, man, as a early on. And one of the things in grade school, it was some sort of an indirect competition where, back then, it was the hot rod car and you only drew the side profile. So, you do the small wheel in the front, the big wheel in the back. You know what I mean? You put color to it, so we used to kind of show off with that, but also comic books and things like that. I read a lot of comic books, so I did a lot of tracing, and that sort of thing. So, I mean, it just came natural. My grandmother kind of really honed it in on me and really kind of spoke to me about it because she was a really creative person as well. She did a lot of crocheting and that sort of thing. So very creative person. And, man, all through grade school and high school, man, that's what I was all about. That was what I wanted to do. I was, this individual trying to be Ernie Barnes and Charles Schultz. You know what I mean? That sort of, artist. But there was one teacher named Mr. Burney who inspired me, and he was, he was our art teacher, everybody's art teacher. So that was what I did, man. And how did it translate into being a cook, being a chef? Well, I mean, there's a creative gene in my mind that's required to be a chef. I mean, the only difference is our medium has changed. Now we're using raw, edible product, foodstuffs as our medium, and then obviously the plate is our canvas, sounds pretty cliche, but that's what it is, but just kind of bringing them both together. I mean, art evokes thought, emotion, food evokes thought and emotion. You know what I mean? If you're going to put it in an artistic context. Now, let's bring those things together and find the balance between what it means to be creative and what it means to be creative. Okay, I want to say this clearly. All right, creativity does not just allude to painting and drawing and singing, but, to be a creative business person. There's techniques and things and methods and formula and fundamentals to learn how to be creative and making money. So, I didn't, in my beginning of my career, I didn't feel I was good at that because I couldn't make the connection between, defining business and being creative because that's not exciting. The exciting stuff is somebody, man, coming into your restaurant and delivering you this praise, man, that you genuinely deserve because you put the work in. But now I had to figure it out, and I ran into a lot of good teachers, man, that I work with, coaches. I like to call them coaches, provide me a different level of skill set and what it means to say, okay, you're creative on the plate, but man, you're a zombie when it comes to making money. Okay, so let's make sure you understand what you're good at right now and translate that into business. Okay, so let's take the P&L as our palette. I mean, as our canvas. Let's understand how to work the P&L. Let's understand the ingredients on the P&L. Let's understand what brushes you need to make sure that your labor cost is in line, your food costs in line, and everything else. So I had a person who really kind of put it into context for me. Then it became easy. Okay, I can connect with this. I'm a creative person. One difference is I'm dealing with numbers now. I need to apply this appetizer that I just created. Okay, how much did it cost? This, that, and the other. So, I just made the connection that way. For me, learning was very visual. I need to be able to do it in order to comprehend it. I'm not a read something and then pick it up. I don't function like that. I need to be able to see it, feel it, and it need to be tangible. And so as I'm working with creating a dish or whatever, okay, I got the raw product in my hand. Now I got to put numbers behind this and make it just as exciting. Because for a long time, Chad, it was like, whatever, man, you take care of that. I want to just cook. I want to just be creative. I got that part, but I had to rethink that. I had to re-educate myself and think about it like, look, I'm investing all this time. And at some point, if I plan to be in it long enough, I got to be able to be smart about being in business. Yeah. So that's kind of how I took it, man.
Yeah, I grew up watching a lot of Bob Ross as well, and then when I got into cooking and discovered the Great Chefs series, that was my new art show that I watched constantly. Yes. And I remember being in culinary school and not really knowing all the techniques yet, but I'd worked for a couple of chefs, and I would write down ideas for dishes, but they were based off of color and texture and more about that and less about technique until I started learning that technique more. And then really, that's when the rubber really hits the road, is when you have that solid technique behind you. And it's funny because, like you said, as a young cook and as a young chef, all your focus is on the creativity behind the food. But then when you become the chef and the chef owner, like you really start to get into crunching the numbers to make sure that, yeah, I made a great dish, but is it going to make money? Can I pay my staff and pay their electricity bill off of what we make off of this dish? So it's kind of interesting to go from kind of not really naive, but kind of young and creative to being a little bit more grounded when finances kind of come into play.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I would say this, man. I like to echo, the Great Chef series. Oh, that was my stuff, man. And look, I'm not old school. You're not old school. We classic school. And the thing for me, man, is like those were the days, man. They felt good. You watch those series, man. You see a lot of creativity, and it was like, I wouldn't call it the golden years, but it's just, man, to be a chef was meaningful. Not to say that it isn't now, but in the saying, man, the training aspect, the culture aspect. You know what I mean? So I reference them all the time on YouTube, man. And look, man, for me, it's progressive, right? I was fortunate to be able to work in places where, I never really had to look for a job. I was always recommended, and my role was to work the line, period. Okay. I pride myself in being organized. A lot of creative people are not characteristically, but I had that gene that's based on how I grew up, based on coming from a military background. I mean, I feel like, to be organized is to manage chaos. Okay. If you're not organized from the base of what you're doing, it's so hard to be creative. It's so hard to maintain. It's so hard to be consistent. So the organizational piece, people will like to throw the acronym around OCD. Yeah, man, just because I'm organized, that don't mean I'm OCD. Right. I don't mean that at all. That don't mean I'm anal. It just means that I've figured out what it means to control chaos. And the restaurant business is just that. Many a times it's a control thing. It can be managed. It's part of the culture. But, I feel like if I'm organized, I can sustain through any madness. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So, for me, I took that sort of mindset, man, and figured out what it means to be a creative cook, what it means to deliver, and then what it means to say, okay, cool. Now, when I'm moving up into these leadership roles, and Chad, I like to share this with a lot of people too, man. I mean, I always worked at the next level. I never worked like, okay, if I was a line cook, well, if I was a commis, I worked like a chef de partie. I didn't, I did my work as a commis, but I also behaved like the chef de partie, and so on and so forth. So if I was a chef de partie, I act like the sous chef. If I was a sous chef, I acted like the chef. I wanted to always be the next level. So when the time presented itself, I was already doing the work. Okay. And then, when I got to that, when I kind of moved into that sort of mindset, then it was easy for me to say, okay, I need somebody to teach me how to manage the business side of this and make sure that at some point because as the chef, I'm acting like the owner now. Mm-hmm. So I want to know ownership. I mean, I'm sorry, excuse my language. I want to know owner stuff. I want to act like I want to be the owner. All right. Yeah. So that's where that helped me develop confidence, because I think sometimes, honestly, a lot of people move up too fast and they're not mature mentally or have a level of maturity to deal with that role.
That's right.
They've been given to them and they'll take it. A lot of times, just because somebody offers you something, that don't mean you need to take it. You know what I mean? And I made a mistake in doing that and fell flat on my face, which good learning lesson. I know I got skin up a little bit, but I learned. You know what I mean? So I for me, it's like I was always preparing myself for the next thing. So when the time comes, at least I had some confidence if I didn't have anything else. You know what I mean?
I think that's really important to kind of, especially as being, anything, but like restaurants are super competitive, like cooks all get along and they have fun and they buddy around and drink beer after work, but like it's super competitive, when you're on the line. And I think it's good to keep that next level in sight. And, I did some of those same things you're talking about. My first job out of culinary school was for the sous chef at Piners Country Club. And I got the job, but I wasn't ready for it. And I came out scarred, but smarter. I mean, I learned quickly that, it's time to, I'm managing people and now I've got to really, start to take some responsibility. I want to talk briefly about some of the food that you grew up on and how it's kind of influenced you. Obviously, it's influenced you a lot now. You have some really cool dishes that are inspired by those days, like your crab grits and your crab rice and stuff like that.
Right.
When you were in fine dining, did you use that inspiration to build fine dining dishes, or did that appreciation come a little bit later?
Great question, man. I'll say this, Chad. Just like everybody else, you know, as you move through the ranks, you learn what was trendy, you learn what was in the now. You referenced French cookery as your base. That was how you built your pedigree. Okay. Real quick to answer part of your question is my culinary DNA and heritage lied dormant for years. Okay, it lied dormant. Outside of my palate, I believe how I grew up and what I ate growing up, regardless of how it's categorized, you know, it developed my palate. I understood innately, I'm gonna use the term umami, what tastes good. Okay, I know that. I knew that, and I didn't know that I knew it, but I did. I mean, I learned a recipe, this, that, and the other, but at the end of the day, I did recognize what was properly seasoned and what may not be properly seasoned, or what was flavored correctly or not flavored correct, or something that didn't have enough balance in terms of acid or richness or, bitterness or whatever. I really, I reflect on that a lot now. You know, I didn't understand it, but yeah, I had that understanding, man. I grew up eating a lot of delicious food, and outside of it being described as peasant or country cooking, it was still complex. It needed to be in order for it to taste good. Somebody needed to spend time building the flavor, right? What it means to start a pot of beans or something like that. You know, you just don't put water in a pot, put beans in it, and that's it. You know, there's something that happens, you know, if you take your time and then layer in flavors and that sort of thing. So, but later on, as I evolved through the ranks, I kind of reverted back to my sort of culinary DNA, like thinking about, what I enjoy in terms of flavors, you know what I mean? Robust, bold, not to say that I don't enjoy bright flavors and things like that, but yeah, I've learned to have a very versatile means of which I want to go. I spent a lot of time when I was at CIA, man. I did a paper, and I wanted to make the connection. I believe I shared this with you, but the connection between Eastern Carolina cooking, all right, to sort of French country cooking. Okay, I'm trying to make those parallels in it because I enjoyed it so much. I never had French cooking, in my life outside of being in school or whatever. So, and then I had a chance to go over to France, but I made the correlation, man. It's like, there was a perception of French cooking being highfalutin, highbrow, which it can be. Any cuisine can, you know what I mean? But in the same token, I felt like, wait a minute, whoa. Coq au vin, that means a rooster cooked in wine? That means it was stewed. That sounds pretty country to me. I grew up eating, stewed chicken in a pot too. Just wasn't wine. Oh, wait a minute. Cassoulet? Really? I grew up eating pinto beans and ham hocks. What's the difference? So I made those connections. Now it became a little more familiar with me. Now I'm saying, wait a minute, man. My food I grew up on could be put in the same category if someone take that style of food and kind of evolve it. You know what I mean? So it was important to me that I figured that out. You know what I mean? But moving forward, where I'm at now, I think everybody, if you stay in the business long enough, and I've been in it for 25 years now, you develop a level of maturity now. No longer are you caught up in trends. No longer are you caught up in what's new or what's next. You're caught up in your professional insight when it comes to cooking. For me, I don't think there's anything new out there. I think it's remixed and renamed, but I don't care who cooking it, Chad. Food can only be so good.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't care what technique you use. I don't care what you do, what seasoning and whatever. It can only be so good. Okay. And that's what I come to think about food now. I had memorable meals everywhere, but right now it's like Joey Robuchon and his pomme de terre. That dude was, come on, Michelin starred all over the place. He was famous for his potatoes, man. Mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
That to me is a chef that has reached a pinnacle, and simplicity is in play now.
Yeah.
What's driving the ship?
Yeah. Well, I know that you and I had a conversation on Facebook where I can't remember, somebody asked, they were asking fresh or dried store-bought pasta, like what they should use. So we had a conversation about pasta, and I referenced Patrick Clark. I got an opportunity to work with him down in Charleston years ago when I was working for Louis Osteen. He came out to do a dinner, and he used the store-bought wonton wrappers and made this delicate, beautiful lobster ravioli.
Yes.
Who were some of the other chefs that inspired you back in, I know we keep saying those days, for people we're talking about mainly the 90s, like cooking in the 90s.
Right.
Who were some of your other influences back then?
Oh, man, wow. I would say, let's see here. Obviously Patrick, Jean-Louis Paladin, Mark Miller, okay.
Yeah.
Total trailblazer. I'm thinking of, frankly, John George, and here's why I'm referencing those people, Chad. You think about game-changing dishes, okay, that have now went mainstream. It's John George chocolate molten cake.
I was getting ready to say, yeah.
I mean, come on, it's in the grocery store now. It's in Food Line.
Yeah.
Wolfgang Puck, dude put smoked salmon on a pizza.
Yeah.
Game changer. Okay. Mark Miller, Southwestern cuisine. A lot of us didn't know there was such a region. Okay, but he changed the game.
Yeah.
Jean-Louis. Okay, Jean-Louis. Here's what I'll share with everybody right now. I so regret not working for Jean-Louis Paladin. Here's why. It was like I was working at a place in DC, and when I left there, somebody said, "Hey, man, you should go work for Jean-Louis." And for some reason, man, I just got caught up, and I wish I would have took that job, but I didn't. I went on and did something else that was frankly paying more money, to be honest with you. I still reap the benefit from it, I wanted to work in a hotel and banquet kitchen, but I really regret that. That's the one thing I regret in my career. I should have took the job working with John Louis. Now, I did a lot of dinners with him, a lot of stage work with him. He used to come to the restaurants where I used to work at, but another guy that totally influenced the game, okay? Farm to table, a la terroir. He coming from, this small town and country town in France, man, coming over here, referencing American ingredients before American chefs did. Like, really?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I mean, I thought thinking about, obviously Alice Waters. I mean, Jeremiah Tower. I'm going way back, man. This is like, you know what I'm saying? Like this is like a classic album, man, of artists.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And these are the people that influenced me, man. Made no mistake about it. Had Danielle Ballou, Charlie Trotter. I mean, Tom Keller, all of them, all the major players, all the books I have on my shelf right now. You know what I mean? And I wanted to share something with you, Chad, about, because you talked about the Great Chef series. Oh yeah, I watched that religiously, along with the Iron Chef back in the day. And I used to take I had notebooks, man, of I would sit and watch for that hour, Great Chef series, and write down notes. Yep. You know what I mean? Those chefs go, I can't work for everybody. So the next big thing is, well, I'm gonna sit and watch this show here and jot down a note. Iron Chef, I got notebooks right now in an old Foot Locker, man, of just notes of things that I wrote down over the years, and I reflect on it sometimes. It's just amazing, man.
I watch that series on YouTube constantly. I was watching David Burke the other day doing his roasted lamb with his shepherd's pie. We've got just a few more minutes. I want to talk briefly about your cookbook, Saltbox Joint Seafood, Seafood Joint Cookbook, and your TV show, The Hook.
Yeah.
Now both of those are done.
Yeah.
Any plans for a second show or a second book?
Hey man, yeah, definitely both. You know what I mean? If it presents itself, I'm gonna jump on it. Definitely another book, man. I got some more stuff I want to share. Got some more things I want to talk about. You know what I mean? It may be off the topic of seafood, it may be on, I'm not sure, but definitely if PBS, I think sometimes, Chad, my end game is probably on PBS, man, doing a cooking show, man. You know what I mean? It could be. I'm not sure, but if the opportunity presents itself, I'm in that circle of folk that I always have conversations about it. So absolutely, if it comes up, I'll jump on it. Other than that, man, I keep on cooking, man.
Yeah. Now, let me ask that question, but apply it to restaurant concepts. Anything planned past Saltbox joints?
Yes. Saltbox seafood joint, I believe right now is validated. It's at a point where I can turn a curve any moment and scale the brand. You know what I mean? With the right folk in place. But yeah, man, I want to, as I share with a lot of people, when I started Saltbox, I tell people that I retired from the restaurant business. I'm in the joint business. Okay, so yes, there's more joints that I like to do. Single ingredient focus things that feed the masses, things that make money, but never not being creative. Okay, always being creative, always being thoughtful, always being inclusive, always making sure that whatever I do, people can connect with it. You know what I mean? And there's a story behind it. Yeah.
I like the idea of doing like a new whatever joint, like sandwich joint or whatever. I think that's a really smart. That would be fun to market that also. That's a really great idea.
I was telling my wife the other day, it's like, I just want to be a jointpreneur, man. Just roll out joints, small places, easy. You come in, man. It's gorgeous food. It's meaningful food. I scour the country, man, looking at all these places that's been around for a long time. There's a reason why. There's a reason why.
You can kind of take the old Spike Lee thing and do it's a Ricky Moore joint.
Absolutely. Yeah. That'll be my LLC, man.
Great. So one more question.
Yes.
You made and posted some killer looking stuff for Thanksgiving. What's going to be on the Moore's table for Christmas this year?
Oh, you know what, man? I've been scrambling around. Chad, what's going on, man? Is there like a shortage in oxtails? I mean, I've been going everywhere, dude, looking for oxtails, man.
Yeah.
So I finally found some, and I went out to a Wegmans. They got a stellar product, man. Oh my god. I mean, but oxtails, man. Oxtails. Let's see what else gonna do. Oxtails. My daughter, she's gonna make macaroni and cheese. We have greens. We have yams. I'm gonna make a old-fashioned white yellow cake with chocolate fudge icing. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. What else here? Let's see. Obviously gonna have ham. So you're gonna keep it straightforward, man. But I was trying to find chitlins, man, but nope. The ones that I like, they're not right, man. I like to clean my own, and my daughter likes that, so she would love that. So.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was talking with a Caribbean food truck operator a few weeks ago. They were set up at a brewery here in Sanford, and he's having a hard time finding oxtails as well. I guess Caribbean food is super popular right now. There's a lot of people doing food trucks, so maybe that has a lot to do with it. But I'll keep my ear to the ground and let you know if I come across some. But listen, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate your time. Hope you and your family have a safe and Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays and all that good stuff.
Yes, sir. You as well, Chad. Hey, man, thank you for always inviting me. I'm ready to come again, man. You want to set up another conversation? Happy holidays to you, everybody at Good to Be NC, and happy holidays to everybody out there. All right. You guys have a wonderful, safe holiday.
Thank you. And you guys make sure you go check out Saltbox Seafood. The book makes a great Christmas presents, and so do gift certificates. So you get out there, spend your money locally. Thanks, Chef.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Just to reiterate what I just said, you guys, make sure you're supporting your local restaurants. They desperately need it right now. Gift certificates, that sort of thing. And go safely visit these restaurants and buy Chef Moore's cookbook. It's fantastic. and check out The Hook, his show on WNC TV. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Looking forward to doing more of these. Wish everyone safe, happy, Merry Christmas, happy holidays. You guys stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon.